This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with the Taste of Vomit and David Bupp the third. Thank you for being on the show. How you doing today?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm always doing well. We're in New Hampshire. It's still a little chilly here. No snow on the
Okay.
ground anymore. But I want everybody to know those of you who are going to listen on audio, we've got a link up there so you can get Taste of Vomit .bandcamp.com. You can get all your records there on Bandcamp. So we want to push that. We do have an audio audience, so we like to tell people what links we actually have up on the screen. The other thing is we are a featured podcast on the Newsly platform. So if you listen to Newsly, you can find our podcast on this episode within a couple hours. If you use coupon code GHOST, you get 1 month free premium subscription so you can stop scrolling and start listening. We are a featured podcast on Newsly. So thank you again for being on the show. And you got your brand new album, The
Yeah.
Indoorsman.
Yes.
So how long did that take to come up with this? And I know that you've got a lot of features, a lot of guests on the album. So how long did this album take to actually put together?
Yeah, I guess since I started writing till when I was done the final mixes was probably about 9, 10 months, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work on different things at different times, so I was working on different things in between then too, but yeah,
Yeah.
for this record, roughly like 9 months or something.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'm always doing that. I'm working on like 3 albums at the same time. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
crazy. I'm always doing something. I'm trying to collab with some lady in Japan and this other lady that's doing other stuff, and then I'm doing the podcast. So I'm always doing something, trying to figure out which songs go on. So I have like 3 different things working on one, then I start shifting things around. So well, this one doesn't fit. This one fits on this one, and I'm you
Yeah,
know how it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. I work exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always fun working on a new idea. And so the idea for the endorsement, I'm into. We've always talked about this, but I'm into concept albums. I'm a big fan of like the Who and
Yeah.
Tommy and Quadrophenia, and just the overall kind of vibe of a concept thing. I mean, even listening to like Coltrane's, his concepts, and I've been getting into jazz a lot, and there's a lot of concepts in that. But so what made you want to do the concept album in an age of like the Spotify like
Yeah,
playlists?
playlists. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I That's what I like to listen to. I like to listen to more conceptual things, and that's what I gravitate more towards. So that's kind of what I like to make and everything. I've always done that with like, this project. Like most of them are always, a theme or something. This is definitely a lot closer to
Concept
like a quote unquote storyline, but
more.
I always try to make a mood, or I don't really like putting out just songs by themselves. I like conceptualizing everything and contextualizing.
Mm. Yeah, I'm a child of the '70s, so like everything we listened to was on 8 track or vinyl, and you really couldn't,
Yeah.
8 track you could bounce around, but it was still in the same thing, right? And then records, my father had the turntable where they could just drop. You could have a bunch of records, and we'd be like, oh, it's Miles Davis night, and we're gonna listen to
Hmm.
Davis all night, and that's
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so we listen all the way through. The whole idea, like even Pink Floyd, when that Wish You Were Here and all that stuff, like, yeah, I'm listening to that all the way through because I like the idea of an artist like getting their complete thought and getting the whole
Yeah.
vibe. I listen to a musician, it's like their deeper cuts or the non-singles kind of tell me who they are. And if I just listen to their
Yeah.
singles, I actually don't get the full picture of who they are as an artist.
Also, you ride the wave of like up and down. Like you'll have like a fast song or a slow song, and or like, a happy song, a sad song. You get through the whole like ride of emotions and everything through a whole record.
Yeah, yeah, you really get the full, it's like a sound painting. I've always talked about sound paintings or cinematic kind of development. But if you only get 2 minutes and 30 seconds of an artist, you don't really get the full picture. And so
Yeah.
one of the things we want to show is we're not going to show a video, but we're going to actually play one of your songs. and
Yeah.
I picked it from the new album, The Indoorsman, Inside Job. So I'm
Hmm.
gonna put you on mute. We're gonna play Inside Job, and I really dig this song. All the songs on the album are awesome, but I'm gonna play this
Thank
one. We
you.
can talk about this one, and then we'll actually talk about the whole album. So let me. I
Sounds
think
good.
I have it
Absolutely.
queued up. So I'm gonna cue it up, and then I'm gonna put you up, and then we're gonna talk on the backside. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Here we go. So here we go.
Yeah, yeah. I can't bear to live, I ain't the fucking revenant. In fact, I only breathe to try and stay relevant. It's evident, I'm dwelling in the sentiment of how I personified for years how to set a new precedent. And I'm overcome by fear of overcoming fears. Head so full of thoughts it starts leaking out my ears. In my inner dialogue, don't got an inside voice. Did the chemical reactions infer just the illusion of choice? And does God rejoice in the comfort of a lost soul? If so, I wish I was better at learning to let go. So let's go, meet me where the sidewalk ends. We can collect the favorite shells that shelter what we hide within. When I can't admit when I'm down, so I guess I just lied again. I guess I just lied again. So listen, all of y'all, this is self-sabotage. As I wonder if my depression is an inside job. So listen, all of y'all, this is self-sabotage. As I wonder if my depression is an inside job.
So back and let me bring the full screen up. Yeah, so I love that music. And the strange thing is, like, I've been listening to a lot of, like, I've been listening to Love Supreme and Kind of Blue and The Birth of the Cool and
Mm-hmm.
Sun, because I'm always going back and forth between jazz and like progressive rock. And I
Mm-hmm.
really like I actually started as a clarinet player. So
Okay.
I really
Yeah.
like woodwinds. I mean, I love listening to that, and I like the feel of that in a world that's so beat focused. Like, you don't have the
Mm-hmm.
drums, that's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
you're willing to experiment and actually do something that is not kind of this time. It's kind of like a different time. Like, I could hear that in the 80s. I could have heard that in the 70s, something like that. So like for that song, in the vibe of the album is like different types of songs I've heard, like that one appealed to me because it become my aesthetic. But
Mm-hmm.
what made you feel like to go that direction with that song?
I think it was just that point in the record, in the storytelling or whatever. I was trying to fit a certain mood of the words that I was writing. I was trying to get, when I first started writing, I had like an idea of like where it was gonna go or whatever, and I know I needed like, a powerful, emotional song. So we started crafting the
Mhm.
music in that way. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of the inside job and self sabotage. Like, the lyrics are important. Some
Mhm.
people today, sometimes the lyrics are kind of just like shock value, um,
Mhm.
and just totally beat focused, and you're more into singer-songwriter focus, like, actually
Yeah,
telling a
yeah.
story,
Mhm.
and I think it's lost today in some of the, like, because if you put yourself into a DAW, you probably wouldn't write exactly what that is. If you're totally coming from, like, working with like an Akai MPC, or you're on the DAW, or you're in Ableton or something, you might not come
Mhm.
across something like this. This seems more natural, more organic, even though maybe you did it on the DAW. I just feels like it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
more more like it was kind of like birthed in a more traditional way, old
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
But
No, it's kind of half and half, to be honest. It's like half sample, half real instruments. The
mhm,
saxophone solo was performed by my friend Amani Reed.
mhm.
The piano was based on a sample. There's a couple other like little synth things in the background and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of like half and half.
Yeah, that's like a hybrid. Like, I've been playing with this thing called like an Akai Force, and it
Hmm.
uses clip-based construction. But I try to like basically, hot rod it and not do what it wants me to do. I'll go and like hook CV instruments like a Moog to it, and then
Oh yeah,
play
yeah.
that like
Hmm.
live into it instead of sampling it. And then
Hmm.
so it's just like, because I just want to get that kind of real authentic sound, like your sax do having that. I mean, you could run a sample, but having somebody really play it, you can
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
the emotion of, and the
Hmm.
melancholy of it, because the sax is like really good for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because I've been listening to Coltrane a lot, so that's
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
head. But yeah,
And
this is
also
the
too,
way
yeah,
you can convey with
yeah,
it.
it's like because the lyrical part is so short, like, the parts with like lyrics is maybe like only like a minute and a half or something like that, but the song goes for, 4+ minutes. And I think
Mhm,
that the intention was to like really reflect on everything that has happened
mhm.
so far and get this kind of
Yes,
like, just reflection period or any, something like that.
well, I kinda jumped in the middle of your story because that one, that kinda spoke to me. So, like,
Yeah.
when we get back to the whole thing about the albums, like, The Indoorsman is a story of hope. It's a glimmer of a movement after a season of stagnation. That's your kinda overall in exploring
Hmm.
healing and growth and heartbreak and depression. We can kinda hear that in that song about the
Hmm.
depression. But, so maybe we can start at the beginning. So, like, what was the it was the is the first song on the record the first song you came up with for the story, or did you
No.
come up with a different song to start it, and then the whole thing started coming together?
The the first song that I started writing was for this specific project. It kind of came out in weird different pieces, but the first song that I started writing with intention to be on this album, like we were saying before, I picked other stuff that I was working on to put in here and things like that. But was the second song called "Stay Indoors." The first song was written later, and it's kind of like an intro thing, like, you know, like talking about like we're going to, you know, go inside my mind or whatever. But yeah, the first song I started writing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
kind of like the beginning of the rock opera, you know, like if you
yeah,
hear
yeah.
Townsend opera, he has like these intros that kind of sometimes like give you like a little bit of a hint of where it's gonna go.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that's
Yeah,
cool.
so
That's the idea of that kind of growth from the beginning.
the yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, the first song I started writing was called "Stay Indoors," which is the second song on the records. It was like mostly written
Was it-
semi in order, but you know, some things were a little mixed around.
mhm. Yeah, because things don't always go in a sequential order. Like I end up doing that a lot.
Yeah,
But the idea of this album, was it really kind of coming from like the whole issue with COVID, or was it a combination of something being like stuck indoors because of the lockdowns, or more indoors
yeah.
because you're like in your head?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely more indoors, like in my head. Yeah, I was just going
Yeah.
through, yeah, like you know, I am somebody who like, you know, has a lot of, you know, experience with like anxiety and depression and my mental health and everything like that. But I was also going through like, you know, a breakup period, which was, you know,
Mhm.
also affecting my regular anxiety and depression. And, you know, so it's a lot about that. And, you know, my journey to starting to find hope and feel a little bit better and things like that.
What's interesting is like it's called the endorsement, and it's like got a lot of ideas like that are inside your head, but then you've got a
Hmm.
lot of guest featured people working on the record with you. So then that kind of gives you this collaborative effort. How did you start to get other people involved, other artists to come in on it?
I think for every song was a little bit different. But I'm just somebody who loves music and I love all these artists, and I'm lucky enough to be friends with most of them, and you know, or at least
Mhm,
acquaintances or peers. And yeah, I really love all these artists' music, and I want them to be a part of this. I wanted
mhm,
this to be the best record that it could, and there's certain things that, you know, I can't do or other people can do better. You know, and yeah, I just wanted this to be, you know, the full idea of things or whatever. And yeah, I just am somebody who that loves music, and I love, you know, all these people that are on this record, and it was important for me. And some of them were like a part of my personal journey and everything like that, so it was important for me to, you know, include them in here.
yeah, that's interesting because like you know, you had Duncecap and you had John S. Hall, and
Yeah,
you know, it's just really, you know, it's just really interesting. It's like all the different people,
yeah,
KOURAJ, you know, and it's just, you know, open mic, eagle atmosphere, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff going on. And it just seems like it all kind of melds together, even though you have this diverse cast of people.
hmm,
So I'm just wondering, like, if you go to do this live, are you going to be able to get some of the people to all be there? If you do like a
yeah.
live rendition of the show, are you actually going to have all your all the people that worked on it able to show up when you do it live?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone, but like most people. I actually did do a live version, and I did pretty recently. We did a release show for the record like a week ago,
Mhm.
and was able to. We made full band renditions of it, so you know, we had like a full band, a drummer,
Yeah,
bass guitar player, piano player, saxophonist, guitar player,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, and then two of the people that were also does vocals on the record were there and performed with me. But yeah, a lot of them are based in Philadelphia. Some of them are based in New York, which is not very far from Philadelphia. Um, you know, so yeah, a lot of them are you know, close to it. And yeah, I've done shows with most of these people and everything. So yeah.
That's awesome. Because maybe it's like, is there like a collective vibe, like that their bands would be on stage doing like a well, not like a festival, but the idea there was like a collective that's playing a show that night with multiple bands. So then that would all kind of work together.
Yeah. KOURAJ and Amani are part of the same collective, and they're also part of this band called Altruistic Vision, and they backed me up on that show, and they all play together too.
Oh, that's cool.
And,
Yeah, I think I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
a snippet of that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
We're
that's yeah, that's cool. I mean, I really am into that kind of performance because so many
mhm,
people are like into the box to actually see like live drummers and saxophonists and guitar
mhm.
players. It's like because you get people like, okay, I did the album, then we're gonna go out, and it's just like, oh, it's all coming from the Mac,
Yeah.
and they're singing over their Mac tracks, and I'm like, well, that's cool, and I understand like it's easier to present, but there's something about being able to actually see the band interpretation. I
Yeah.
mean, did
It's
that
definitely
always,
different.
how does that feel to you when you do your band? Yeah.
I do both. I mostly perform, with backing tracks and things like that. But yeah, performing with the band is definitely a different vibe. And yeah, I had a good time. All those people are very close to me, and I really love all those people, and I appreciate them taking the time to learn all these songs and doing it with me and everything like that. And yeah, we had a really great time. We're working on a video and we've recorded it and filmed it, so we're currently editing
Well,
and
which song?
in the
Which
process
song
of
is going to be the video? Which videos?
we did
Song is
four.
four of them.
We did four songs for the live band set. It was "Stay Indoors," "Houseplant," "Inside Job," and "Emotion."
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I realize that I'm a one person band, so I've got a lot of things I have to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I play, um, but a lot of it is like kind of using all this analog stuff and all this modular, and I try to use that to kind of drive it, and it's still one person, still using a lot of sequencers, which is not that different
Yeah.
than using a Mac in Ableton or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's just there's some kind of feel of like what I like to do is it's like throw random voltage generators and LFOs to trigger things, and
Okay. Yeah.
then like, oh, my Moog is the member of the band because I don't
Yeah.
know what
Hmm.
my Moog's actually going to do. Because I made it go into some random kind of craziness that I'm just going to play with it. And yeah, I mean, I know you can do that with like, oh, I could set it to random, but like having something this analog is kind of like having like when you're one person, it's like having that real drummer.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
your Moog kind of go off on its own is like, oh, I can get that kind of vibe, even though it's not a person. It feels a little more personal. But yeah, so it's so this whole project you said it took like several months to put together, um and you were working on other things, and like when you found a song that really fit this project, what was like your criteria to kind of say, oh, this one actually works with the endorsement?
I think theme and mood and like the sonic palette of it, I guess. Like, I in the past have done a lot of like boom bap or lo-fi kind of stuff, like more traditional hip hop kind of stuff. And this
Hmm.
kind of has like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's not quite like boom bappy hip hop stuff. It's
Yeah, it's a
more in
lot
the realm
more
of
expansive.
like indie rock, like kind of, but it's still like rapped and stuff. So yeah, a lot of that went into consideration, a lot of themes and things like that. I was kind of like writing a song for something else, and then I was like, oh, that actually like fits on this record more. So I like moved it over and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because this thing has like it's blending hip hop like from your right. It's like a hint of soul, it's R&B, it's alternative rock, it's got jazz, it's
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
Kind of what I call in my world, I call expansive, which means
Hmm.
like when somebody tries to pin me down, it's like, what do you mean? Well, because I like progressive rock, I like Sun Ra, I like uh, you know, bands like uh I don't know, get into new wave. I like early new wave. I like,
Hmm.
Joy Division. I like
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I like what when they was doing in Duran Duran. And people, oh, how could you like that? It's like, but then I like Yes and like Genesis, and then I
Hmm.
want to get into like a Zepp kind of vibe. So well, that's all over the map. It's like yeah, and then I could get into a Clash or Who's Could Do vibe. So it's like, where are you? So, well, that's why it's expansive because I don't know where I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
I mean,
you
but that's
wanted
what
to
it's like to
have
be a
everything.
person, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it's like to be a person. You're not always the same thing every time, you know? Yeah.
Well, people try to tell you that, well, you gotta stick to like trap, or you gotta be in like noise pop, or you gotta be dark wave or synth wave or tech, and I'm an electronic musician, so they automatically it's like, oh, you're EDM. It's like not necessarily. Not really. I'm
Yeah.
more like Genesis and Yes and Pink Floyd and Funkadelic, and it's like, and people want to pin you down. It's like, well, why do you want to pin me down? Because even those bands were all over the map. If you listen to a
Yeah,
Funkadelic, and they've got
definitely.
like a Motown song, and then they got a progressive rock song, and they got kind of like a Frank Zappa type song. And you're like, well, they're all
Hmm.
over the place. But you want to say
Yeah.
it's all funk, but it's not James Brown funk. It's not Sly
Yeah,
funk.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Funkadelic funk,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is its own thing. So yeah, it's like you're getting pinned down. Yeah, I understand getting pinned down. People want to. So how do you feel like when somebody's trying to put you in that genre and figure out where you should play, what festival you can play on? It's like how does that work for you? What do you are you having issues with it, or you
Um,
don't have issues because you find the places
no.
that
Well, I think it works in my favor because I can fit with anything. Like, I've played just straight like hip hop shows and I do really well, and I can play, singer-songwriter shows and do pretty well, and I can be in, indie rock things, or I don't know, I've played with a bunch of like R&B artists, and I can be in
yeah you
anything.
kind of
So I think it
meld to
works in
where
my favor.
yeah
Yeah, yeah.
that's because one time like the first time I did a tour in New York, I was with this hip hop collective. And I ain't really
Hmm.
hip hop. My music is not really hip hop at all. And I was able to fit in just because I was weird. I was weird enough to fit in. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well that
yeah.
works. And then they said, okay. And but it was like, yeah, people were trying to, well, you're not really a rapper. It's like, no, not really. But I do spoken word, and spoken word's kind of like rap. So, it still fit because like of the spoken word nature, kind of like a Lou Reed Dylan idea. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of like where rap goes. Is if you had can wordsmith like that can work. So
Hmm.
it doesn't really matter. Like you can kind of be comfortable as long as you don't want to get knocked off the stage because people are like that doesn't fit. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
anything you can kind of read you read the crowd, it's going to work, and you can kind of adjust if you're a musician, right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it works in my favor most of the time.
That's awesome. Well, I think, well, yeah, because I think that's the way things are going. I think everything's kind of coming. I believe the singer songwriter's coming back. So everybody said,
Yeah,
"Oh, maybe
definitely
not.
agree.
Maybe AI. Maybe AI is taking over." But but
Oh.
uh,
No, I think there's a
what
lot of
what do
really
you think
great
about that? They always like,
with the AI stuff. It's interesting. Yeah,
yeah, the
I
idea
have
that
no
AI,
idea
that you
where
could
it's
have.
going. What did you
Well, the
say? Sorry, you
idea
cut
is
out.
like they potentially. I was talking. Oh, so what I was like, I was talking to this one guy who was like a technologist, and
Hmm.
well, I think AI could just totally replace all singer songwriters. I was saying, I think they are because all it's going to
Yeah.
do is just look for things that are kind of like this and kind of like that. And with it today, it's grabbing stuff that already exists, and then
Yeah,
it's basically almost stealing people's stuff and merging it, and then not paying people. So I don't know if that's what you want. It's like kind of like the old school sampling when people didn't get paid for their sample. And I don't know if that's the best thing to be happening.
yeah. I mean, you're never gonna be able to replace humans. I mean, ever, in my opinion. Like, there's certain things
Yeah,
that you
no,
can do with it or whatever, but there's always that, I don't know, like people connect with the emotion of it and the humanness of it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it ever is gonna replace people in music, you know.
Yeah, I don't think if I mean, a machine's never gonna do a John Coltrane. It's never gonna
Yeah.
be a Keith Moon or a Janis Joplin. Like, it can't do
Hmm.
that. You know, maybe it will mimic it, but then it's not original. So, like, you want some AI version of Janis Joplin, okay, maybe you can do that, but why wouldn't they just go watch tapes of Janis Joplin?
Yeah.
Why would they watch that? So so I understand the technologists, they're saying, "Oh, they can," yeah, maybe that's your goal, but you're an art.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like yeah, like maybe they'll be able to make like jingles or whatever easier or things like that. But I think people that gravitate to more like art stuff, you know, it's never gonna replace like real humans.
Yeah, I just don't see people going to, like, an indie rock, punk rock, kind of really powerful kinda scene, and now people, have robots faking out that they're the Clash, cyborgs being the Clash. It's like, I don't think so. Like, maybe Cyberpunk would like that, but I don't know if a real hardcore punk kid's gonna like that. But
Yeah.
so like when you closer to the story of his kind of rediscovering oneself through the music, did you actually plot the whole album out like a book, or did you let it kind of just evolve song to song and then say, hey, it's gonna work that way?
No, I kind of had a rough outline. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, exactly part by part, but I had a rough outline because there's a lot of like there's a lot of musical and lyrical like motifs that travel out. There's a lot of mention of like plants and stuff. There's a lot of like metaphors that go in and out of songs and things like that. So I there's a lot of
Mhm.
interconnectedness.
Chemical
So
concept.
I did like plot it
Yeah.
out in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause at times, like, you get into a rock opera, then people will go and they'll have recurring themes, and they'll have hints of those themes and hints of the
Hmm.
same concepts coming in and out of the story, trying to figure out how to link that together. Uh, and, like, we got roadmaps, and Townsend's like the one I'm always looking at in terms of, like, Tommy and Quadrophenia, and then his failed opera of, like, Lifehouse, which is actually you know, the Who's Next album was a failed opera. It was supposed to be this thing called Lifehouse, and it didn't work. But yeah, I've always been interested in his type of ideas. But then Pink Floyd had this idea that kind of just seamlessly worked together without the way Townsend did it. Their
Hmm.
ideas weren't like what Townsend was doing, but it's in the same ballpark. But it maybe worked better. Some people's
Yeah.
minds, the Dark Side of the Moon, does that actually work better than Tommy? People could argue,
Yeah.
but, like, in terms of your mind, like, where were you looking at any previous rock operas or type of albums as, like, a roadmap or people that inspired you to go in that kinda concept direction?
Not necessarily. I do like really enjoy like more conceptual records or whatever. There's a hip hop artist named Billy Woods that I'm super into. A lot of his albums are very
Mhm,
conceptual. I also, yeah, I really like, yeah, I guess it's more so in terms of like Dark Side of the Moon versus the Who, like more slightly abstract. There's like less of a direct story, you know what I mean? Like in
direct
the way
story,
that
yeah,
Dark
Pink Floyd
Side,
is like less
you know.
direct, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Pink Floyd's less direct. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So definitely like
Because
in
you
that
listen to
way.
yeah, 'cause Animals and Dark Side of the Moon and and The Wall, like, the Wall is more tight, but, like,
Yeah.
Animals is, like, is a concept, but it's looser.
Yeah.
It's a lot looser. It's not as tight as Dark Side. Dark Side is, like
Yeah.
is to me the primary one. I like it more than The Wall, maybe because it's less tight. Um, but yeah, that kind of feel has always been, an influence, and even hip hop, like, I listen to a guy like Earl Sweatshirt,
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
one of his albums, like, I don't like Go Outside, I don't like shit. That felt like a
Yeah.
concept album to me, and it's not
Yeah,
really
absolutely is.
traditionally a kind it's like an album, but it feels like a concept to me. But it just has a feel like a motif. It just links. kind of like Sergeant
Mm-hmm.
Pepper's. Isn't
Yeah.
exactly a concept album. You can't tell me what it's actually telling you, but it
Mm-hmm.
works. It feels like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I love Earl Sweatshirt, but yeah, I guess my thing was trying to be somewhere in between there. Like it's kind of a story, but it's also kind of
Yeah,
abstract.
yeah,
It
yeah,
isn't like guy walks down the road, guy goes like
yeah,
there's not like specific plot points, but you kind of can feel it move through the thing, you know. I
yeah.
like to think of it like the
You want to
first
put
side.
your headphone on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of thought of it as
But
like
I like to
because I made
disconnect or everything and
um
listen. But that's just
sorry, keep breaking up. Um
sorry. But I
yeah,
was just saying, like to listen to the whole thing through. You don't like have your Twitter on and you put your headphones on and listen to the whole thing without being distracted. That's what I was trying to say.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, absolutely. That's my, that was my intention, but I know a lot of people don't listen to things like that. You know. But yeah, so yeah, I was trying to side A. I made cassette tapes. So side A is a lot of like,
Okay.
the more like I'm stuck in this place, I'm stuck in this mindset, and then side B is finding the way out of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. That kind of transition between like the vinyl side A and the B and the tape side
Yeah,
A, side
yeah.
B has the ability
Hmm.
to be able to kind of shift that. You do to see that with like yeah, Pink Floyd, the way their albums were constructed, they definitely had the side A, side B kind of feel of
Hmm.
where the concept is going, you know. And it's useful to have that being able to flip because a lot of people today they just get this complete, they don't get to flip it, so they don't see where the side A and B are. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Because if they're just on a streaming service, you can't really say where's side A, where's side B.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for my record, the end of side A would be Inside Job is the end of side A, and then starting with the invitation is side B.
But you actually produced cassettes that people can get so they can get experience the
Yeah.
side A, side B physically, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
I think
actually,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Because oh, that's cool. That's through like
Yeah.
Bandcamp. So if you go through the Bandcamp, you can get that.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'm planning on doing something like that. Yeah. So is that actually easier than trying to do like is that like easier an endeavor? Or like is it easier to actually set up a tape re-
Um,
release, trying to
y-
release?
just just as an independent artist that doesn't have a big budget, it's a lot easier. It's a lot more easier on my budget than vinyl is.
Mhm.
Um, and also like playing
Yeah.
shows and stuff, like, vinyls are kind of expensive. You have to sell them for 20 or $30 or whatever. A lot of people don't want to spend that kind of money when they're out at like, a
It makes
show
it
or
more.
whatever, you know. Um, so yeah, like tapes are just easier in that way, and I think they're like
Yeah. So
making a
at the
little
merch.
resurgence.
Yeah, so at the
Yeah.
merch table, having a tape and maybe a T-shirt is like is actually
Hmm.
maybe more doable
Yeah,
on
yeah,
your
yeah.
T-shirt that you maybe you have something that somebody actually because the T-shirts could be like $20 and the vinyl's like $20 and somebody's looking for like well all I'm gonna get is the sticker.
Yeah, yeah,
They can
yeah.
all they can afford is the sticker because they can't afford the vinyl, they can't afford the T-shirts. Like the cassette gives them something. Oh, that's doable. It's like it's
Hmm.
under $10 or something, right? Is that what you can do? Can you have it in that kind of range?
I usually do mine for 15, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. Well, yeah, that's still better than 30. Because like
Yeah,
30
yeah,
is where it's
yeah.
like you start hitting that point where pain point where people might not do it. Yeah. So that
Hmm.
yeah, that's cool. Because the marketing of music and why you're probably on Bandcamp is like the idea with these streaming services is kind of like it's just like the radio. It's like how people around the world can hear you, but as an artist, you don't really get that much of an incentive economically for
Yeah,
services operate. So
yeah.
so it seems like the cassette might be bringing back a more way for an artist to actually get some profit from what they're doing. You know, some
Yeah, and they're
artistic.
not so expensive to make. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's probably like the vinyl. I heard a lot of problems with the production of vinyl because there's only so many places that do it. So it
oh
seems like the
yeah,
cassette might be a better way to actually get it on time with your release because you're able to have an inventory right with your release. You didn't have to wait.
yeah. I mean, I set it up before my release date, but yeah, it took them like 2.5, 3 weeks or so to get them.
Vinyl can take months for you to
Oh
actually
yeah,
get a
yeah,
vinyl is like
absolutely.
really hard.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes even longer. I've heard a lot of people that were really struggling the last couple of years. Some of them were like over a year.
Yeah, yeah. You're in the waiting on the line, you know, trying to get it done.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's cool. I even saw a company in Russia doing like reels, which I don't know who has a reel to reel, but they were actually selling
Yeah, yeah.
reels, like
Huh.
actual old school reels,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're
yeah.
big packages, boxes with the reel, which was kind of like the vinyl, but because you have this artwork that you can do, and you can do it like a lyric book and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
So this did you do any kind of lyric like sheet that goes in the cassette, or you weren't able to kind of swing
No,
that?
I just have like the credits inside, but all the lyrics are on Bandcamp,
Mm,
on the link and stuff, and they should be on Apple and Spotify.
from
I
there?
like added them, but I don't
Mm.
know how they pop up. I'm not
Oh, they
well
actually can
versed
get
in
them.
that, but I put them in, so they'll be up eventually, I guess.
Yeah, it would be cool if the digital age would finally find a way to put lyric sheets. You know, I know some artists can get their lyrics, but you seem to be have to be at a certain level to have your lyrics pop up. Um,
Yeah,
it's not
I don't
like every
know.
artist
Some of them
have been able to see how to get it
I've put
out
in,
there. I've been looking
yeah.
into it.
Yeah, I've put in lyrics for all at the same time for a record, and like two of them popped up and a couple of them didn't. Like I don't understand how it works. But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
what the criteria is for putting them up because you can put them in there.
Yeah.
Like when they choose to actually put them out there, you're like, wish you would tell me how you
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
get that
yeah.
to actually happen because I think it would be cool because that was the whole thing back in the 70s when you picked up like the vinyl, like that you had the
Yeah,
lyric book.
yeah.
You know, a lot of these
Hmm.
records like really wanted it, you know, to kind of really fully get it. And especially with a concept record, it's cool to actually really understand what you're saying. Though a lot part of it is the mystery. Some people, listeners, like the mystery of like interpreting the lyric the way they think it should be. You got
Yeah,
fans
yeah.
that actually does not sing song. You're like,
Well, I
well,
think
that's
there's a
not
difference
the song.
between interpretation and reading the words, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes you come
Words or
back and it's like,
whatever.
oh, you go back and you listen to the lyrics. It's like, oh, I for 10 years I thought they were saying this, and it's actually that.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, it's like, oh, totally.
yeah.
But you know, it's this how people listen. You know, their interpretation of what you actually mean. That that's up to the listener. But we have a more
Yeah, yeah.
directed concept, and it's like more you have a vision. But you're assuming like
Hmm.
if it's all emotional, so how people actually put that into their own lives, it's still like how they feel about it is it like a personal experience for the fan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I feel like I at least intended for all these words to be like you can like enjoy them or experience them on a surface level, and if you want to dig in further and see how they connect with one another, and there's lots of I'm really big into wordplay and multiple meanings, and
Yeah,
so there's a ton of that on this record if you are into that kind of thing, but you can also just enjoy the emotion experience of it and understand it on a surface level pretty easily.
yeah. 'Cause a lot of people are into the groove of a song. They kind of into the beat
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
song, and they kind of only catch the melody
Hmm.
those lines. They don't actually catch every aspect of it. Um, so it's like it's cool. Like I mean, I'm a a songwriter myself, get very deep into what artists are doing, and like, because that's what I like to do as an active listener. But there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah, me
passive
too.
listeners today, like where they're like, they're doing something else when they're listening, so it's
Hmm.
harder for them to get into something deeper because they just like the beat,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're not really deeply listening. Is that kind
Hmm.
of frustrating as an artist that's more like into writing than when you have fans that are like not as deep into actually getting the full content?
I think it bothered me when I was younger and first starting out, but it doesn't bother me as much anymore. I mean, I feel like, just people are different and people like different things and people experience things differently. So, it's just whatever works for you. Like, I enjoy, yeah, sitting down with something and like really like immersing myself into it, but some people are not into that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
people enjoy different things, so it doesn't bother me anymore. I don't feel any kind of way about it anymore, but I definitely did when I
Well, I
started. I'm
think it's
like,
like,
I put all
yeah,
this
you
work
can't
into
worry.
it and nobody gets it, like, but it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah. That's always the frustration, yeah, like, if you're writing and, like, you write the 5-minute song, and then you hear everybody
Hmm.
telling you, "It's gonna be 2 minutes and 15 seconds and 2 minutes and 30 seconds because that's the attention span of kind of playlist," right? So as you go over 3 minutes, and they're like, "Oh, you're going over 3 minutes." I was like, but, like,
Yeah, yeah.
that serves the song. If you write songs that that's what they are, and it's kinda hard to cut them. It's like I was talking to an author, and they were telling him, "Oh, I got 100 you got 130,000, cut that down to 66,000." And it was like,
Hmm.
"Why?" Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the what the market can bear. And it seems like there's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that going on in music where people well, the market can't bear a song at 4 minutes and 52 seconds, or they can't bear it at 6 minutes and 52, which I'm in trouble because all my songs are going like 6, 7 minutes.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah, but it's like, I'm totally like, I don't care. I just that's what I do. If you want to cut them down, I cut them into reels and stuff.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about things like reels and shorts and TikTok? Do you have a strategy as a musician for those audiences?
um Not necessarily. It's not necessarily for me or what I want to do, and not knocking, anybody who it is something for, but it's not necessarily for me. I do still really enjoy music videos, like full
Mm,
videos
full video.
content, and
Mm,
yeah, of the full song, and I'll cut like a little bit of that, produced video into a short reel and just be like, watch the rest of it at this website or whatever, but
yeah,
yeah, I really
to
grew
create
up
like an ad,
like,
like an ad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I grew up like really watching music videos and I really love it. And I think it's another form of creativity and things like that. So that's really important to me. I just put out a video for Houseplant on my YouTube page. And we had a
Mm,
lot of fun. We're
cool.
getting a lot of really good responses to it. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess yeah, for me, for reels and TikToks and things like that, I just chop up things or put little clips of live performances or things like that. I'm not necessarily creating content with that sole purpose in mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, the real kind of audience is like they're trying to get millions of hits,
Yeah, yeah,
hundreds of
yeah.
thousands of hits for the certain targeted strategy that necessarily in line with the artistic vision of a singer-songwriter. Because
Yeah.
like I do, like a lot of my stuff, I just use shorts to get somebody to get into the full video, which might be 7
Yes.
minutes.
Yeah, same with me. Yeah.
So it's like my intention is not to get you to be into that and get millions of hits on like some 30-second thing. It's like I want you to use it as an intro to my longer thing, which
Yeah.
hopefully you'll check out. But yeah, that's the way I use it as like the way to drive somebody, drive into the
Hmm.
full performance. Because I grew up with the MTV. I'm a child of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
'70s, and I remember like '79 that coming in and seeing like Joy Division, and then that really got
Hmm.
me on Sense. As soon as I saw them, with that first song, I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
that's it. And then they became New Order, and then I saw that stuff, and I'm like, that wow. And I started looking for synths, and I just
Mhm.
like it just I just got totally pulled into the whole synth new wave era, what they were doing. Like, it was kind of taking like a punk aesthetic with some of what had been done with the big, progressive rock and tightening it up. So that suddenly it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
these big progressive Yes and Genesis songs, but it was like these tight pop songs that had a little bit, everything in them. And they were coming from ska, they were coming from punk and rock and
Mhm.
wave movement. You know, oh, that's just synth. Not. There's a lot of stuff in it that's more than that. Um, I find that it's very expansive, kind of like what you're doing with your music. It's very, all over the map.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think everybody should check out your album on Bandcamp. That's the preferred place for you to get it, right? Because then you people can actually get the cassette right through the Bandcamp
Yes.
link.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's also on Spotify and Apple and all those things, wherever you prefer to listen to things,
Yeah,
it's probably up there. But yeah, I usually try to direct people towards my Bandcamp page. I also have like t-shirts and things up on there and everything like that.
so you can get the full Taste of Vomit experience on Bandcamp, so you can buy the
Yeah.
merch, which we always encourage. Like if you're into a musician, if you really want to support that musician, buying the cassette is a real way to show the love for your new project. And buying the merch is a way to do it. And I always tell people, like, if you're gonna watch a YouTuber and give a tip, you know, the
Yeah,
way to help
yeah.
out a musician is to go to their Bandcamp, buy the T-shirt, go to the concert, buy the ticket, buy the cassette, buy the vinyl if it's available, because that's how you support music. Just streaming is fine, but understand the
Mhm.
way things work as a musician is a lot better for us if you actually go get the physical content.
Yeah, yeah. And it just helps fund the next thing. Like if you,
The next thing, yeah,
it
if you're
helps
into that
goes
artist,
into the
yeah,
next thing. Yeah.
if you want to see the next thing happen, then help the artist that way, because
Yeah, yeah.
it's a cool thing to get into, and there's like I think when you get into an album, is like you're getting an experience that is going to give you that vision of that artist, and then you'll probably be interested and say, hey, what else do they have? And then you'll go through your
Yeah.
catalog and you'll start to see other things that, like, wow, this guy is cool and really interesting things. And so that's it's just an adventure that's different than the playlist. There's like maybe you find somebody on the playlist, but like go deep when like the vomit and go check out the Bandcamp, check out the Indoorsman. And are you going to be touring? Are people able to go get tickets for you anywhere?
Not right this second, but I'm currently planning it. But it's probably not going to be till late summer. But yeah, I'm currently sending
Like,
emails and doing the booking agent things. So we're working on that right now.
cool.
But yeah, I'll be doing the Northeast
So
US
did he? Oh,
into. I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
oh, what I'm saying, if they want to get news about your touring, can they find that from Bandcamp, or do you have a different site?
Oh, that'll
What's that?
usually, yeah, mostly on my Instagram. But yeah, if you follow me on Bandcamp, I send updates and things like that. But yeah, I'll be up through. We're planning on doing the
Okay,
Northeast US down to the Midwest and back over to the East Coast. So probably late summer.
in the summer, late summer, like
Yeah.
July, August.
hmm Yeah, like August. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, well, that's
Yep.
always cool because now the bands are able to get out there. You can actually go see them. So I encourage everybody to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
check out your Instagram, which is there's a link for your Instagram that will be on this podcast, along with the Bandcamp link, and that those will be clickable when we fully publish, and we will be on Spotify as a video podcast. We'll be on Apple, iHeart, uh, many other places. So people will be able to check that out, and it's clickable. As I said, when you get to those platforms, they're clickable. The Facebook, YouTube, and Twitches are going to be clickable on the permanent links. So again, thank you for being on the show again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
it's always cool to talk to musicians. We started out talking to musicians, and we've kind of expanded from that. But musicians are still our core of who we are, and what we like to talk about is music. So that's always fun for us. So thank you for being
Mhm.
on the show again, and everybody go check out Taste of Vomit at .bandcamp.com, and you can find the Indoorsman there. And thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.